What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And on this video, I got to do a thermostat replacement because this thing does not get over 100 degrees. Because after I replaced my fan, which I did years ago, I probably didn't make a video, but anyway, it keeps it too cool now. So I'm thinking that there's no thermostat in there. So I do have one, brand new one right here. This is from Mishimoto, actually. So it should be a good one. Oh, it's 185 degrees. And I just got some RTV. I'm not going to use the actual paper gasket. And I got some antifreeze. So, hoping that I get lucky and don't break any bolts. So, let's get started. All right, so the tools you're going to need is some of these pliers, a flathead, and a 1/2 inch. But I have a metric set, so it's going to be a 13 millimeter. And you're going to want to start by taking off the sensor. So now that that's unplugged, I'm gonna pull off this clamp for the heater core. Then I'm gonna pull off this, which is what the flathead is for, this clamp. Pull that off, and then you only have one bolt right here, and then one down here. So, pretty easy setup. So now that I got my pliers, just pull this bad boy off. A little hard with one hand. Ah, come on. There we go. Now that that's up, easy peasy. Now let's get this sucker off. I do need to replace that hose. If you can tell, that big upper radiator hose, that thing is cracking, dry rotted. I've already replaced the bottom, I just never got around to the top because I actually had a blowout on the bottom line. So that had to be replaced. I do need to do this top one, but you know, it's holding for now. Once I get this off, I'm gonna show you guys the surface that is gonna be needed to be cleaned, and then new thermostat. So let me get this off real quick. All right, so I just got it off. You can see that. Obviously, this whole mating surface is gonna need to be cleaned up really well. Same for this side, which has a really old beat up gasket. And I found my problem. It did not have no thermostat. It had one that is stuck open. So that was my problem. This one was a 195 degree. So I went with the 185, keep it a little bit cooler. But this is gonna make a big difference in how warm the engine's gonna get, you know, because it wasn't even getting to operating temperature. So it would barely go just a hair above 100 degrees, and that was it. No matter how long I drove it or whatever. So this is definitely gonna fix it. So I'm gonna get to cleaning up this mating surface, and I'm gonna RTV it, throw the new one in, and it should run perfect. So let me get to the cleaning step. So this is probably the perfect tool for cleaning your surfaces. So just give it a nice little scrubby. And this should take this right off with ease. Yeah, you don't want to get any inside the engine, but you know, I'm being careful. Just like this. And I'm gonna say that that's fairly clean. It was not all that dirty. I might scrape it a little more, but I gotta get to this side now, which has the crusty old gasket on it. It's hard to do with one hand, of course. So let me just get this cleaned up, and I'll show you guys the after. All right, both surfaces, mating surfaces, are nice and clean. As you can see, looking good. Now, the next step is going to be the RTV. All right, so a little tip is to put a few dabs onto here like so. Just a few, you don't need much. And then what you're going to do is the spring side always goes into the engine. it's very simple stuff. If you've worked on cars before, you would know. But you want to stick this in here like so, right into its little groove. And the reason for this is because if you end up putting the casing on without this being like kind of sticky, then you could bump onto this and it'll actually fall down just a bit and you'll end up smushing that, and it's gonna completely not seal. Now I'm just gonna add a little bit to the housing. Actually, I think I'm just gonna let this tack up a little so it stays into place and I don't have any issues fighting it. All right, now that that thermostat is all tacked up, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little, or not little, I'm gonna put a generous coating of RTV onto here, because I am not using a paper gasket and I definitely want this to seal. So this is what I'm gonna be doing. Maybe a bit too much. It's fine. More the merrier, I feel. Just so you don't have any leaking, but you also don't want it to go inside of the housing and clog up your thermostat, because then it'll kind of be a waste of time if this isn't sealing right. And then what I'm going to do after this is I'll be letting it tack up so it can get to that nice rubberiness, and then that's what is going to create the nice seal. Voila. All right, guys, I let the silicone dry, or the RTV, and let's just get these hoses on, get the sensor plugged in, start it up, fill it, and then we could let it warm to stupid flies. Let it warm to bleed the system. Let's get to it. I'm gonna start with this hose, which, dang, this thing is beat. Then I got my dryer line, or my, what did I say, dryer? This is my heater core. The clip just fell back here. Gotta slide it up. There we go, all right. Like so, this line needs to be replaced too, probably. Look at that, huh? All right, my little sensor. I think I got some coolant in there, but it'll be all right, I think. All right, let me just get these clamps on and tightened, and let's get to bleeding it. Thing you got to remember is to always keep your heat on full blast, because that'll help you bleed out the system. Okay, so as you can see, it's finally gone over 100. It's only been sitting for maybe 10 minutes. So before, it would sit just about 100 degrees, maybe a hair over, and that would be as warm as it gets. So once it gets to operating temps, the thermostat's gonna pop open, and then I'll finish bleeding the system, and I think we're good. There's no leaks from the housing, the thermostat housing. It's doing exactly like it's supposed to, so it's all good. The RTV worked fine. There's not a single leak. So make sure if you're doing it, just let it tack up just a bit before tightening it all the way, and that's it. So hopefully you guys like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.